Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. This is Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Clayton. Also, check me out on Uneducated Network to where you can see both shows. Go on to YouTube. Please like and subscribe to both channels on YouTube. That's Uneducated Sports Talk and Uneducated Network. We have already done with the AFC East, and we've done the NFC East, Eagles and the Patriots representing the Super Bowl, so we got those two out the way. And now, for our division by division, let's start off with the NFC North. The Minnesota Vikings obviously had the miracle in Minnesota over the Saints, and then they go and get blown out by the Eagles, but they have revamped, retooled, and we'll talk about their division. The Packers have been the kings of the NFC North for over the last couple of decades. Now, let's just be honest. They've really been running that division on a year-by-year basis. But you can kind of see the changing of the guard with the Minnesota Vikings over the last couple of years. That defense has just been phenomenal. And now they can get a little bit of offensive tool to match their defense intensity. This team might be good for a long time and might dominate the NFC North like the Packers have the last, decade or two. Let's just be honest about that. But we have the Chicago Bears, who are young, but they're getting up there in talent-wise. We'll see in a couple of years they might make noise. And the Detroit Lions, we'll talk about them and how I believe that they're still in they don't know what they want to do yet. But let's start off with the defending NFC North champions, the Minnesota Vikings. And like I mentioned, this team is defense first when you hear about these guys. We know about Tony Soprano's passing away, so RIP to him and our thoughts and prayers to his family. We know the Vikings will be basically representing him all year this year for sure. But let's talk about the big news for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins was talk around town. Who is he going to? Where is he going to? And Kirk Cousins went to probably the best team he could have gone to, the Minnesota Vikings. I said last year that Case Keenum, who was a decent quarterback. But, man, they had a really good quarterback that was above him. This team could go to the Super Bowl. And I think Kirk Cousins going to the Minnesota Vikings makes the Vikings the best team in the NFL. I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is that much better than Case Keenum, but he is better than Case Keenum. I don't know about this much or that much, but, it's not big, but it's just enough to get them where they need to go to. That's the Super Bowl. And I think that with Kirk Cousins being there, it makes them just that much more better. This team has all the physical tools. They have all the defense you can get, the weapons on offense as well, and the mentality. They want to hit, they want to run, they're fast, they're strong. So all they were missing was a quarterback. And I believe Kirk Cousins is that missing piece for this team to be really, really dominant and might just help them leapfrog into the Super Bowl. They lose Case Keenum, he goes to Denver, becomes their starting quarterback, and now you get Kirk Cousins, like I said, who is basically the only thing the Vikings really need to do this year was to get a quarterback, and they've got it. They made no major moves, none of that stuff. They re-signed Stephon Diggs, so that was big in their part too. They gave him, I think, a 5-year deal, so he's in Minnesota for the long haul. So him and Kirk Cousins, get used to hearing that name, that combination a lot. Mike Hughes is probably the only, definite person from the University of Central Florida who got drafted to the Vikings in the first round, cornerback, and they don't mind getting cornerbacks, sitting them down. Ask Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes is that kind of guy. He sat down and watched and then played, and he kind of struggled, and now this year he did a hell of a job, and now he's probably going to get paid for it too. A contract extension to Trey Waynes, but they know how to do that. They know how to get guys in, they know how to work with them, and then let them go, let them be free, and they do their own things and get better. So, Minnesota, I believe this year they will be the best team in the NFL. Does that mean Super Bowl? I will talk about that in later episodes when I finally give out who I think is going to go before the season starts, where and why, whatever, and who's my Super Bowl picks. But I have Minnesota going 13-3 this year. I don't see them losing at home. I don't see them getting blown out anytime soon, unless they play against the Eagles in the playoffs. But I don't see them doing crazy things to beat themselves. Teams will have to beat them. They won't beat themselves in the regular season. I have them going 13-3, probably first place in the division. First place in the conference. Next team, the Green Bay Packers, who have just stormed over the last couple years, but Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. You had Brett Hundley came in, and it was an okay process, but not enough to get them into the playoffs. This team needed help. They had a chance, but with Aaron Rodgers, but they wound up losing the last regular season game, and they needed a lot of help, and they did not get it. But Aaron Rodgers with this team is always scary, and they're going to be one of the scariest teams this year. So Minnesota's at 13-3. The Packers will be right behind them. They lose Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is still a really good wide receiver. Only problem was Green Bay didn't want to pay him. But they added Jimmy Graham. So Jimmy Graham is a big body, a big target who Aaron Rodgers, just imagine Jimmy Graham with Drew Brees and now Jimmy Graham with Aaron Rodgers. In my opinion, is the top two quarterbacks in the game. So Jimmy Graham's going to look like Jimmy Graham of old, and I'm excited to see him and what he'll do with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, if he stays healthy and upright, this team is downright scary. Aaron Rodgers is back, so he's going to try and make his presence felt all season, and I cannot wait to see that. Now, Jair Alexander, they got in the first round, cornerback from Louisville, and they also got Josh Jackson, cornerback from Iowa, in the second round. Now, they've done that 2 years ago in 2015 draft and drafted two cornerbacks because this team, they're saying, look, if we can just get some decent cornerback play, that'll give our pass rush an extra half a second to a second to get to a quarterback. And they need that badly. But the only problem is, will it work? You have young guys doing this every single year. It's not going to work. So hopefully they get these two guys to play some really good defense, because Aaron Rodgers is going to win you an extra 5 games per year just on his talent alone. So I have these guys going one game below the Minnesota Vikings. They go 12-4. I think they're that good. I think they're that scary. Their offense is going to be off the chains. Randall Cobbs and Devontae Adams are going to have a big breakout year again. So I cannot wait to see what Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers do this year. But I have them going 12-4 and going to a wild card game. It's going to be very scary. Chicago Bears. Let's start with them. We all know about Mitch Trubisky being the quarterback for that team. I thought they should have got Deshaun Watson. That's just my belief. But obviously they struggled on offense last year. Ranked 32nd in the league in total offense. Passing, rushing was pretty good, but their passing yard was, it was horrible. But they go out and get Raheem Smith, linebacker from Georgia, and he's going to be a great one. You've had the Dick Buckets, and you had Mike Singletary's, and you had the Brian Urlacher, and now you got Raekwon Smith from Georgia. I think he's going to be just another talented linebacker that Chicago Bears always have. And in the second round, they got James Daniels from Iowa, the center, to help keep that defenses away from Mitch Trubisky. Now, they've added some guys. They've added Allen Robinson, and they've added Taylor Gabriel, two explosive guys. I think Robinson, who was the man in Jacksonville, is going to see a lot of touches this year for Chicago. And with their offensive coordinator, Nagy, being there, they're going to pass the ball a lot more. Josh Howard, I believe, is still one of the best running backs in the game. They should stick with him and use that ground game more and more. But Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel can do nothing but bring positive vibes to this Bears team. The Bears defense is okay. And now you add Raekwon Smith, but it's an offense that needs to get going. The added pieces, I don't see them doing too much, getting too much better this year. So I have the Bears going 7-9, which is an improvement. And in this tough division with Minnesota and Green Bay, 7-9, you cannot beat that. I have them going that record, and I believe that they will show some promise this year, and they're a team for the future. Not for now, but they're a team for the future. So watch out for the Bears for the next couple of years, but not this year. And we have the Detroit Lions. This team added Matt Patricia as their head coach. He was a defense coordinator for the New England Patriots over the last, felt like 10 years with them. But they've had one model. We want to be more physical. Hell, we want to run the ball. The Lions have been very pedestrian for the last decade. Since Barry Sanders has left, pretty much. So a decade and a half. They have been bad on offense when it comes to the running game. Nothing. They've had absolutely zero, zip, nada in the running department. So they say, you know what? We're going to get physical now for the running game because Matthew Stafford cannot do it all. Yes, he's had a lot of great passing years, but it has done nothing for them. They made playoffs, first round appearances, and gone. No, they haven't won the division in a long time, and Matt Stafford's having a hard time staying upright. So what you do is you get a running game going on. They go ahead and get LeGarrette Blount, who has been the recipient of Super Bowls the last 2 years, the Patriots and the Eagles. So you bring a Super Bowl mentality running back who has the physical abilities to knock people around, and the Lions need that big time. First round, they get Frank Ragnow, the center from Arkansas, who's a big physical presence. You know about those Arkansas O-linemen. They're the same as Wisconsin O-linemen. They're just nasty, rugged, strong, and they eat, sleep, drink, and breathe O-lineman spirit. I like that. So then you get Kerryon Johnson, running back from Auburn. He is a big physical specimen. So you know what they're thinking. Let's go in here, and we're going to pound the rock. But at the same time, you have a top 10 quarterback, Matthew Stafford, on your squad. So I see where they're going. Wide receivers, they're still going to need help. But the problem is going to be defense. Yes, you want to be good on offense, and I understand that because if you run the ball, but will this team actually run the ball when they have Matthew Stafford, who can sling it like no one else? Will they run the ball enough to take time off the clock? Because the Cowboys went through the same transition. It was always great on offense, but it was horrible on defense. So what they did was they went to a running game, which puts your defense on the field less and less, and it gives them more energy. So maybe Detroit goes that route, but they still don't have the playmakers on defense at all. It's going to be a very suspect defense once again, and I don't see if Matt Patricia, who is a defensive coordinator in heart, I don't see how he can turn that Lions team around like that. I believe they actually digress this year. Is that a word? I don't know. But they go down this year. They regress. That is a tough word. Anyway, they do worse than they did last year. I had the Lions going 6-10. I think right now they're in the middle of change and trying to find out who they really want to be. They need to have defense. Offense will always be there for them. They'll always score 24 points a game, but they'll always give a 28 the way their defense is playing and looking. So, a recap, Minnesota Vikings got them going 13-3. The Green Bay Packers, I got them going 12-4. The Chicago Bears got them at 7-9, and the Detroit Lions got them at 6-10. The Vikings win the division and most likely being the top of the NFC. So they're gonna need that if they have a host a game in Minnesota. They're gonna definitely need that. So I like the division. I like that the Vikings are just they're top to bottom. Nothing's wrong with them. Nothing is wrong. They have no weaknesses as well. So let me know who you have winning the NFC North. Tell me who's your surprise pick. Can the Bears or the Lions even sniff the playoffs this year? Let me know in the comments down below. My name is Clayton. This is Uneducated Sports Talk, presented by Uneducated Network. All sports fans know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.